Did you know that Rwanda, also known as the land of lush green hills, is home to one of the biggest solar parks in Africa? Even celebrities like Bono, the frontman for rock band U2, once visited the site. But we'll talk about that later on the show. Hello and welcome to Echo at Africa. I'm Neo Taegbe coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria. And here's what we have coming up on the show for you. We'll get to know a man in Zimbabwe and how he provides energy with a simple idea. Learn how the northern German island of Sylt fights coastal erosion. And then meet a young lady in Abuja, Nigeria, who has some new ideas on how to ensure food security in the country. Okay, so you caught me coming out of the green, yes, lush green behind me. But now let's look towards Rwanda, where people are already talking about a solar revolution. Just an hour's drive from the capital, Kigali, you'll find a huge field of solar panels, not a huge field of green like you find behind me. It's an important step for a country with a fast-growing economy where hunger for electricity is voracious. It's also a big boom for the environment because prior to the solar park, many locals just used diesel generators.
Kigali is busy and booming. Growth rates in recent years have been on average 7 or 8%. But that progress comes with growing energy requirements in urban and rural areas. Rwanda is opening up new options as it expands its power grid. Ramagana, 60 kilometers east of the capital, is home to the biggest solar power plant in East Africa. It was built in a record time of just 6 months. The facility is jointly operated by Norway's Scatec Solar and the Rwandan government. Twaha Twagarimana fled the country during the civil war of the mid-1990s. Since returning 2 years ago, the engineering graduate has been the plant supervisor.
At the moment, the production from the panel is 8.5 megawatt peak. So we have about 28,360 panels built on the surface of 17 hectares.
Vacant sites of this size are hard to find in Rwanda. The operators cut down a forest to make space for the plant, but plan to compensate for the harm done.
One of our policies to take care of the environment, we have to pay back what had been removed. That's where we planted. We have been planted 5,000 trees.
The land the plant was built on is the property of the Agahozo Shalom Youth Village. Proceeds go towards its mission, caring for orphan children and young people by providing them with a new home and education. It's a setup that everyone profits from, says the village director, Jean-Claude Nkuliyukumfura.
We thought that there was a way that we could make this village self-sustaining by inviting investors to come in the country, and these investors would also address some of the challenges that the country needs.
Such as generating 50% of its electricity production from renewables in the near future.
In 2013, before the construction of the plant, Rwanda had only 110 megawatt, okay, with a population of 12 million. So Rwanda had desperate needs of energy. At that time, 14% of it were generated from diesel generator.
The new solar plant has increased the country's energy capacity by 6%. What's more, with sustainable means. Ensuring that enough solar energy is actually captured means regular cleaning, a major challenge with almost 30,000 panels and in a very dusty environment. Haruna Ndayasinga supervises the cleaning.
We normally get a maximum production. We have 4 to 6 hours sun. It means for that period, we are increased up to something like up to 100 kilowatt hour.
That maintenance work has generated 10 jobs on the site. Jean-Pierre Assoumani supplies the cleaning water from a nearby spring.
Working here has given me the chance to escape unemployment. I don't feel useless anymore, and I can better support my family.
The success of Rwanda has been encouraging. A new solar plant is due to start running in northern Rwanda in 5 years' time. It will store electricity from the sun's rays, enabling the country to light up after dark.
In the rural areas of Zimbabwe, many people chop down trees for firewood, for cooking, or for whatever reason. A waste of resources. That's at least what Ian Makone was thinking. So he got thinking about how things could be different, and he installed a biogas digester. Let's see how he's doing his bit for the environment.
One man is using poo to reduce global warming. Demand for firewood is a major driver for deforestation in Zimbabwe. Ian Makone, leader of a rural community, is trying to change that. He developed a biogas digester. The system converts chicken waste or cattle dung into methane gas. It's a clean energy which can be used for heating and for cooking. The biogas digester costs about $600 per household. Ian provided over 30 households with this technology for renewable energy. This way, the community no longer has to cut down trees for firewood. Do you like that? If you're also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet, #DoingYourBit. We'll share your stories.
We are in Lagos, around Alausa area of Lagos City. Built up area, beautiful. Now you might see the houses all lined up behind me, but that is the list of the problems for the residents of the island of Sylt in Germany. Now, it is one of the country's best known tourist destinations, but it has a problem. It's suffering from coastal erosion. One method that had seemed effective in protecting the coastline is sand replenishment, meaning replacing the sediments that the storms drag away. Up till now, it's enabled the islanders to keep Sylt from going under, but it's an expensive venture.
Coastal researcher Carsten Reise lives on Sylt. For thousands of years, the island survived without any kind of man-made coastal defenses, protected by the migration of sand dunes. Nowadays, parts of the coast, such as here, near Hörnum, are protected with extremely heavy concrete tetrapods.
Here in the far south, people thought in the past that the best way to protect the village of Hörnum was with concrete blocks like these. And they did in fact achieve favorable effects for the village. They were able to retain some sand, but this sand was then missing in the further south of the island. Since these concrete blocks were moved here, the tip of the island has rapidly shrunk.
In 1970, the southern tip looked like this. Since then, it has been shrinking, and this trend is likely to continue. Will the sea swallow up the island? The surrounding sea plays an important role in coastal protection. Scientists have been studying the Wadden Sea area with its extensive mudflats. For example, they're watching how ebb and flood tides deposit sand and mud. Svenja Pappenmeier and Rune Michaelis are examining the seabed with various measuring instruments. The layers of sediment read like pages in a book.
Events have become a lot more extreme. Storms have become more frequent and they last longer. And they're more violent. And of course that affects the seabed, which can also affect the coast.
And how do the island and the sea interact? Researchers know that rising sea levels will change the Wadden mudflats.
Here on Zult, we have created an artificial situation. We stop the dunes migrating because we don't want houses on Zult to be buried. But this sand isn't washed ashore anymore.
So is it time to return to natural methods? Carsten Reise is appealing for people to accept nature rather than fight against it.
Why can't we live with slowly migrating dunes? It would be a minor matter these days to move houses or to build them in such a way that they could be easily relocated. I know that it's problematic because land values on Zult are so high. But it's easier for us humans to adapt to such things than to tell the North Sea, stop rising.
But few of the island's inhabitants are likely to be enthusiastic about the prospect of mobile homes. And to safeguard their tourist industry, they'll continue replenishing sand on their beaches for some years to come.
With an estimated 180 million people in Nigeria, providing fresh food enough for everyone is a challenge, especially in cities. A young woman in Abuja had a great idea. She constructs greenhouses and helps farmers with new equipment. But she's also providing those that desire it fresh vegetables for consumption. They look like this. She invented a hydroponic system that enables her to grow plants using mineral nutrient solutions in water without soil. Now, the plants are grown with their roots in the mineral solution only. The nutrients in the hydroponic system built by this epidemiologist turned environmental activist are from organic waste.
Meet Angel Adelaja. She's an epidemiologist who left her professional career to get involved in farming to boost local food production. She and her team seek to lower the barrier to entry into agriculture for young and urban farmers by reducing sector risks through use of hydroponics and containerized vertical farming.
We chose this instead of planting outside is because, number one, it helps us to conserve space. So these plants, you would notice that 1 acre can usually do about 2,000 heads of lettuce. But with what we're doing here, one container, 20-foot container, which is about 14 square meters, is doing 3,000 heads of lettuce. So you take the bottom row, you now multiply it by 4, and you get, your crops.
Their method uses 10 times less land, 10 times less water, and less inputs, yet guarantees 15 times higher yields.
Then if you look at the crops as well, if I do it outside, I'm going to lose a lot of my crops because of the pests. So I'm always afraid that something's going to eat my crops. But you can see there's not one bite in these plants.
She gathers the waste from her poultry house plus other biodegradable waste, dumps it into this compost pit, from where she draws the solution which she adds to her hydroponic system in order to grow the vegetables. They also share with other farmers to help them compete on the commercial scale in agriculture.
As a young person who wanted to get into agriculture, I found it very difficult to get access to land. I found it very difficult to get access to water and all the other things that I needed to do effective agriculture. And even then, you realize that you're not making as much, you're losing your crops. So we started with greenhouses and hydroponic systems, and then we said, okay, how come we can't farm inside a container and retrofit it with a hydroponic system? So we just tried it. We've just been hacking our way through agriculture.
And this innovative farming technology is resilient to climate change. It also helps to recycle these boxes and other indigenous, locally found materials.
It was something that was helping us to be more eco-friendly. We were cautious of how much land we're using. We didn't want to go into the bush and clear land and destroy the forest. We wanted to be cautious about how much water we were using. We didn't want to keep irrigating the soil and then it just runs off and then we have to get more water. We wanted to be able to make sure that we're increasing our yield per hectare.
The idea behind this is bringing fresh, quality produce directly to those who need them. They harvest at least 120 kilograms per harvest per month, which is about 3,000 heads. So far, 88 companies buy her veggies in large quantities, and some individuals order as well. Food security, poverty, and migration are persistent issues in Nigeria.
I grew up in the States and I had a longing for Nigeria, and I really just want to improve my country and add to my country. If I could be using my brain there, I can be using my brain here. So the concept is, how do we develop our own spaces? How do we make sure that our own people have jobs? We're not going to wait for government to do it. We're not going to wait for anybody to do it. We're going to do it ourselves.
In February 2016, Adelaja moved to the next stage of the search. The young entrepreneur was one of the 216 applicants from Nigeria for the venture.
Now, one of the things that accounts for loss of vegetal cover is the need for man to build his home. So many times, and indeed, you find that homes or vegetal cover is cleared in urban and rural areas just so that man could build his home. And as they say, a man's home is his castle. But what if that home happens to be an old grain silo? Then I guess you'd call it a kind of artistic masterpiece.
Jan Kurbis is an architect, so he knows how to build a regular house. But that does not interest him right now.
This is a grain silo. It's mine, and I want to live in it.
The self-styled garbage architect started work on this project in 2012. His aim was to build a new home out of things other people threw away.
I am so looking forward to building a house with all the stuff I have collected. The challenge is to make it as small and nice as possible.
So how do you create a 2-story home with kitchen and bathroom with just 13 square meters of living space? The silo stands beside his workshop in The Hague, in the Netherlands. Fellow architect Denai helped him.
Hey, kan je me even helpen?
Plenty of experimentation and brainstorming were needed, and a whole lot of imagination.
A spiral staircase, perhaps? Maybe not.
Usually you draw up plans, then you get to work. But not this time. It is actually harder to build with old materials and found objects than with new components. The workshop houses quite a collection of stuff. Not all of it will be used. This will be a window in the silo tower home.
It is actually a balcony door, but it is much too small for most people, so this model just didn't sell well.
Fitting square pegs into round holes and vice versa is tricky. Jan and Denai built a frame for the new balcony door window. Construction involved almost no emissions, which is good for the environment and the climate. Jan and his friends and helpers worked and worked. 2 months in, this is what it looked like. After 9 months, it was all done. Jan Kurbis and his daughter Lucia could finally move in. The silo was topped off with a glass roof. The front steps come from old scaffolding. Of course, Jan did not go out and buy a new coat rack.
It's from an old rake. These are compartments from the door of a refrigerator, where you keep your milk. This is the toilet, with 2 parts for liquid and solid waste, which is composted. This is the bedroom. I sleep so well here. And all the drawers are customized to fit the shape of the silo. Out of the bedroom window, you can look out at the harbor. It's incredible. There aren't many houses with a view like this.
There's even enough room to entertain. The legs of Jan Kurbas's homemade table fit into the corners of the bathtub, saving space. The months and months of hard work paid off. Jan Kurbas now has a cheap and cheerful, cozy, and very unusual home. And now he is keen to work on more silo conversions.
If our planet was a body, Africa's rainforest will make up about 30% of its lung capacity. The Congo Basin, with its lush green on an otherwise dry continent, is the second largest rainforest in the world after the Amazon. Experts say it is very vital to keeping our global atmospheric engine going. Another reason why we should protect it. So on today's show, we get to meet rangers from 3 nations responsible for protecting wildlife in the Congo Basin. And then we will meet some of the ones that they are trying to protect.
We're in the middle of Kingo's group. Kingo is a silverback who's used to people. Kingo has 5 mates right now. They're up in the trees and Kingo is in the midst of the underbrush. The gorillas are very important for the rainforest because they spread the seeds of the fruit they eat and contribute to regenerating all the vegetation.
The Zangashanga National Park is also an important reserve for the endangered gorillas. Here in the rainforest, they still live relatively undisturbed. It allows scientists the opportunity to study them in their natural habitat.
Kingo's group is now in a completely primeval forest. And to avoid infecting them with our human diseases, we have to wear masks to make sure the animals don't catch the flu or something.
The African rainforest is important for the Earth's climate. It stores enormous amounts of carbon dioxide. Together, Cameroon, the Republic of Congo, and the Central African Republic have declared 25,000 square kilometers a protected area. But most people on the edges of the conservation area see the park as a threat.
Because of the park, you have to at least give the population financial aid. If we hunt, we might end up in prison. People will die. Our children will no longer be able to attend school.
Communal forest areas offer some relief. In Cameroon, they are located around the borders of the protected area. Here, village communities can fell trees themselves under certain restrictions and then sell the timber. In contrast, professional poaching still poses a huge problem in the forests. Gamekeepers can do little. They are not well enough equipped, so success is a rarity.
We stormed this camp. Unfortunately, the poachers had already fled. We found weapons, steel traps, and ivory. The professional poachers are heavily armed. We have military training, but we have no weapons of our own.
Too often, it means the gamekeepers have to put their own lives at risk.
These are the weapons we've confiscated. They have guns and we don't, but we're trying to keep them in check anyway.
Germany alone has allocated more than 30 million euros to protect this unique habitat because preservation of the rainforest in the Congo Basin is decisive in the fight against global warming. Still, over the years, problems in the Central African Republic have spilled over into the park. Christian Ndadet, the project leader from the troubled country, says that in some cases, attacks have been well organized.
Poachers, probably from Sudan, invaded the clearing called Zangabai. The material damage was great, especially the infrastructure. But animals were affected as well. 30 elephants were shot dead.
The entire conservation area is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It increases the chances that at least part of the Congo Basin rainforest will be saved from total exploitation.
And that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. For more on our environmental ideas and solutions, visit our website showing on your screen, or check us out on social media. Join the conversations. Don't forget, you can tell us what you are doing to protect your own side on the environment. Until next time, from Lagos, Nigeria, it's bye-bye.